Cool, and we are live today. Welcome everybody to the Think and Grow Rich Mindset Ministry Mastermind. I'm Amber DeBevick, your Mindset Ministress, and I'm here with a whole bunch of my great masterminding friends, some of the best people in the internet marketing industry that are super serious about their success, which means that we work on our mindset about 80% of the time and our skill set about 20% of the time, because that's pretty much the ratio for success. So we're studying the 17 Principles of Success by Napoleon Hill. We are on number 10, I think, this week, which is accurate thinking. It's a long one, so we might break it up into, a couple, 2 or 3 more weeks, because we don't want to just skip over it. It's just really important information. And, we talk about it, we learn it, we implement it, and then we share it. And that's what we do. That's what you do in any type of value that you're giving or learning, especially in this industry. You can't keep it unless you give it away. So that's why we're sharing it with you. That's why you see the links all over Facebook. And we welcome you to share it with anybody that you think would benefit from it also. So I just want to introduce the panel, the Mastermind Alliance here. We have everybody across the country. So we have Aaron Riggs out in LA, right? Or no, you're in Big Sur area.
I am near Pismo Beach in the Central Coast area of California.
You know what it is?
Cool. Pismo Beach. And we have Daniel McCall coming in from New Jersey.
Hey.
And Elvira Smith from Phoenix.
Woo! In hot Phoenix, Arizona.
Woo! And we have Markel from Chicago.
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Can y'all see me okay?
You're good.
Yes. Fantastic. And then we have Phil McGarvey from San Francisco.
Morning.
Morning. And then we have Hakeem Alexander, who just hopped on. We'll show you his screenshot, but oh boy, there he is. It looks like he's up on a roof today, maybe.
Another roof.
Here we go. Cool. So we're going to get right into the content because we have a lot of it, and we love to mastermind in between portions of the readings. So we are on accurate thinking today, and I'm going to hit the screen share. Ooh. Alrighty. And we left off last week after reading, be skeptical of people who try to sell you on their way of life and make sure their way is as good as your own. Oh gosh, we know about that, right? Selling the dream and living the nightmare. I think that's a perfect analogy probably for that right there. So, all right. As an accurate thinker, you must learn to use your own judgment and to be cautious, no matter who may endeavor to influence you. If a statement does not seem reasonable or does not harmonize with your experience, hold it in abeyance for further examination. Lies have a peculiar way of bringing with them some warning, perhaps in the tone of voice or the facial expression of the speaker. Written words also carry with them something of a warning as to their truth or falsehood, something that corresponds precisely to the mental attitude and the belief or disbelief of the writer. When you seek facts from others, do not always disclose in advance the type of facts you desire, or the purpose for which these facts are desired. As an accurate thinker, you must understand that people often try to please, even if they have to exaggerate or prevaricate to do so. Most so-called thinking is nothing but an expression of feeling through the emotions, and the emotions are not dependable. Submit your emotional desires and decisions to reason for judiciary examination before relying upon them as being sound. The mind is more dependable than the heart. The more commonly expressed negative emotions and most dangerous are fear, hate, anger, jealousy, revenge, vanity, and greed. These are the 7 thieves that can often deprive you of your opportunity of achievement because they make accurate thinking impossible. They should be under constant control and always subject to the closest scrutiny, for they lead to errors of judgment. 2 sources of the habit of thought. All thought habits come from either 1 or 2 sources, both of them hereditary. 1. Physical heredity. We inherit this source, something of the nature and character of all the generations of men and women that have preceded us. This inheritance is fixed by the laws of nature. A great deal of it, however, can be modified by accurate thinking. Number 2, social heredity. This consists of all environmental influences, education, experience, and impulses of thought produced by external stimuli. The greater portion of all thinking is inspired by the influence of social heredity. This is the same as saying that most of our thinking is made to order for us by others. Often we embrace a certain religion or ally ourselves with a given political party, not because we may have given thought to the subject, but because of the influence of those nearest us, friends, relatives, or acquaintances. The accurate thinker does not accept a political, religious, or other type of thought, regardless of its source, until it is carefully analyzed by the rules of accurate thinking. You will be more of a person if you think accurately and then accept or reject an idea or philosophy using your own free will. You must retain the right to your opinions and your judgments. Many political alliances, for example, are based upon opinions which one acquires from relatives and associates during youth. The late Robert Taylor, a former governor of Tennessee, once brought this point home to a young man in dramatic manner. Why, he asked the young voter, are you such a confirmed Democrat? Because I live in, this must have been a long time ago, because I live in Tennessee, and my father and grandfather are Democrats. That's why. Well, chuckled the governor, wouldn't you be in a bad fix if your father and grandfather had been horse thieves? Credulous is the habit of believing on little evidence or no evidence at all. It is among the major evils which can befall us, for it is fatal to accuracy in thinking. The mind of the accurate thinker shapes an eternal question mark. It challenges everyone and everything that influences it, and has no opinions except those arrived at by careful examination of all the available facts. Thus the mind of the accurate thinker becomes the highest expression of respect for the Creator. The thinker recognizes the privilege of control over his own thoughts. This is the only thing over which we have been given complete control. It is one of the greatest blessings bestowed on us by divine providence. The greater portion of all thoughts and activities are inspired by motives acquired through social heredity. Rarely may the world, rarely may the world boast of more than a small minority who dare to challenge the background of social heredity by which most of their thoughts and deeds are inspired. Drink some water. This small minority of accurate thinkers has always been and always will be our hope. They are the pioneers in all fields of endeavor. They are the trailblazers of industry and business, education and religion, science and invention, statesmanship and the professions. Emerson said, beware when the great God lets loose a thinker on this planet, then all things are at risk. It is as when a conflagration has broken out in a great city and no one knows what is safe or where it will end. There is not a piece of science, but its flank may be turned tomorrow. There is no literary reputation, not the so-called eternal names of fame, that may not be revised and condemned. The very hopes of man, the thoughts of his heart, the religion of nations, the manners and morals of mankind are all at the mercy of a new generalization. Generalization is always a new influx of the divinity into the mind, hence the thrill that attends it. The accurate thinkers are not the slaves, but the masters of their emotions. They live among people without giving them the privilege of encroachment upon their inner thoughts or their methods of thinking. Their opinions are the result of sober analysis and careful study of facts or dependable evidence of facts. When their plans fail, they promptly build others to take their place, but they never deflect from their purpose because of temporary defeat. They are the philosophers who determine cause by analysis of its effects. They get most of their cues by observing the laws of nature and adapting them. If you don't know, have the courage to admit it, and you will be well on the road toward learning. And I'm just going to read this last part here. When accurate thinkers pray, their first requests are for more wisdom. They never offer insult to deity by asking for the circumvention or cessation of any natural laws, or by demanding something for nothing. By doing so, they throw themselves on the side of the Creator. Accurate thinkers do not covet the material possessions of others. They have a better way of acquiring all their needs by first earning them. They do not envy other men because they know that they are richer in the values that count most in life. They give aid to others freely and accept it only when its acceptance is fully justified. These are the traits of an accurate thinker. Study them carefully if you would become one of that small minority who think accurately. These traits are simple and easily understood, but not so easily cultivated. Cultivation requires more self-discipline than the majority of people are willing to exercise, but the reward for accurate thinking is worthy of the effort required to obtain the reward. It consists of many values, among them peace of mind, freedom of body and mind, wisdom and understanding of the laws of nature, the material necessities of life, and above all, harmony with the great scheme of the universe, as it is established and maintained by the Creator. No one can deny that the accurate thinker has established a working relationship with the Creator. And we'll end there for now. That's awesome. Huh? Woo. Well, that was awesome. Really, really great stuff. And, right? So, like, the part that stuck out for me is, of course, the last part. I'm kind of still looking at it because I can't take notes while I read. But definitely, you know, talks about, basically for me what it is it's being in line with, I could say it's kind of being aligned with God's will, like being able to harmonize with the universe and carry out the will of the universe. And basically, like what we're working on, you know, having our subconscious actually in the flow of the river of the universe and our subconscious mind flowing with it at the same time, and allowing us to think for ourselves, you know, not being I almost said not being hypnotized. I never like to allow myself to be hypnotized. I never used to, but now I think I'd be open to it if it was for something positive. But I'm interested to hear what you guys are all thinking about that. So who wants to go first today? Anybody? I know, Aaron.
I'll go first.
Okay, who's that, Markel?
Yeah, that's Markel.
Okay, cool.
So the part that stood out for me, I wrote down, I'm taking my notes. I know it's hard to take notes, well, you can't take notes when you're reading. I know that from last week. But the part that I like when you said that most so-called thinking is nothing but an expression of feeling through emotions, you know, which means that, you know, if you feeling bad, you're going to think bad thoughts, or you feeling down, you're going to think down thoughts. If you're feeling depressed, you're going to have depressed thoughts, and it's going to keep going, and it's going to keep going. And he said that master of emotions, well, I said that when you master your emotions, you can, that comes from mastering of the mind, right? And it takes practice, you know, so you basically have to do this all day, every day. You know, it's not a certain time you got to do this. You got to practice this 24/7, 365. There's no off days when it comes to this. So it got to the point for me where it's like I'm doing it unconsciously now. Like when you apply these principles, you keep applying them and you keep applying them. It's like it becomes a unconscious competence, which means that you're doing it and you don't even really even know you're doing it. Because I have people, they be like, man, did you hear what you just said? Like, what? I'll be like, nah. Like, when I have conversations with Hakeem and I catch myself, like, I literally be talking in the middle of a sentence. I can catch myself when I'm about to say something that would, like, it'll harm me. It's like some negative verbiage, like negative thoughts, and I catch myself in the middle of that and reword it instantly. So it's basically taking control over your thoughts and the way you think, and that's how you get control over your emotions, so you want to let your emotions think for you. And he also said that thoughts are the only thing that we have complete control over. But look at all of these things that try to influence your thoughts, things like TV, especially the news, all of these influences around us that try to help you think. But once you get control over your own mind and learn how to think for yourself, use jargon on the things that you read and the things that you listen to, then you decipher that information and use the information that's beneficial to you, and you just discard the rest. And that's what I got.
Awesome, exactly, Markel. You know, I love being able to catch ourselves and then reframe what we're about to say. And sometimes I still don't do that all the time. Sometimes I feel like what I'm about to say is just so, not that it's great, but I say a lot of off-the-wall things that are sometimes kind of entertaining at my own expense. You know, like it's kind of funny, but it's also self-deprecating at the same time. And I used to do it so much more. Now I catch myself so much more often. One horrible thing that I used to say, and I haven't said it for quite a while now, but I think I'm actually, sometimes I wonder if I'm reaping the consequences of those words now. Like in my offline business, our family business, I've lost a few clients this year due to like some Google stuff, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what it's due to, but I used to say that I'm running my mom's company, and then I would say into the ground because I thought it was funny, but I would say it, and I knew I shouldn't be saying it, but I thought, oh, that's such a good line, you know. And I mean, I can't even think of anything worse that I could have said. Now that I'm like, and I wasn't in this business or anything like that. I was more ignorant. I knew I was saying something that I shouldn't be saying. But if I knew then what I know now, I would have never said it. And, and it was at my own expense and my, family's expense probably, just to entertain somebody and be kind of a smart ass. That's just kind of how I would, never mind. But we're not doing that anymore, and now we're just working harder. And it hasn't actually happened. But, when I lose a client or something, I think, I wonder if that's because I said that before, Or maybe I'm just, sometimes a flower dies and then a new one blooms. So I also believe in that also. So who knows what the universe has planned, but I have enough faith to know that everything works out. So I don't really worry about it too much. All right.
You're aware of it now.
Yeah, I have the awareness now. Yeah. You want to go next, Elvira?
Oh, sure. Thank you very much. Yeah, for me, the heredity is huge. The physical heredity, I basically don't believe in that at all. I always call it, that's the gift that God gives us, that we children look like our parents. That's the only thing that we just have in common. But for the rest, the inside is determined, and that's the social heredity because I believe that your parents are also part of that social mix. And that is what forms you. Like last week, it's interesting, we had this a little bit on the law of success on the Think and Grow Rich call as well. And I've always seen myself as a clump of clay. We're just a clump of clay, and I once took lessons in pottery. So we're a clump of clay, and every impression leaves a mark. And it's always very difficult if you've ever done the clay doing stuff, it's very difficult when you press your thumb in it to get that smooth again. And that's how I see us. We are impressed with impressions from the outside, but you got to understand that you allow it. Even from a very young age on, you do allow it. Your spirit does allow it. And so, we have one thing. We humans, we like to be accepted by our fellow men, and as such, we pick up what our surroundings, which are in the beginning when we're young, which are brought on to us, and later we get to choose who we want to hang out with. We like to please our environment. We like to please our parents. So we accept it. We blend in. We use the verbiage. We use the language. I was told that my voice was almost identical to my mom's voice. From the back, it was hard even to see who was my mom and who was me, except for the long hair. I had much longer hair than my mom. But, you pick up the energy of the environment you're constantly in. That is your social heredity. And, you have to find the discipline that if you feel that there are not things going well with what you have picked up, you got to have the discipline, as Markel said also, it's make it your own. 24 hours a day, 365 days, discipline yourself and cultivate how you desire to be. And you can do that. You can change anything about yourself. But here's the kicker of it. It is really hard work. Really thinking is hard work. It's getting in tune with the infinite source. So what we do is we get all this information, it just messes around in our head, and we think we're thinking. Scientists have proven, 85% of the thoughts that we have today are the same as yesterday and the same as the day before. Blah, 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 blah. So we just keep regurgitating the old same stuff. So accurate thinking is do your own stuff, which is hard for a lot of people. It takes discipline. Most people don't want to go that way. I can talk for hours. Pass it on. Thank you.
Thanks, Elvira. Yeah. What my dad used to say, what usually looks like the easy way out is always the hardest. So if we're not willing to do this type of work, we're really going to make ourselves suffer for the rest of our lives emotionally, So it's better to do the work now and have the peace of mind of an accurate thinker, That's what we just read about. Alrighty, who's next? Somebody. Phil, how about Phil?
Okay.
You're on.
I would. There we go. Yeah, this is exciting. It's exciting because it is up to us. The ball is in our corner. And as Elvira indicated, take responsibility for the fact that we've accepted the social hereditary aspect of this. One of the key things that Hill said in your reading that I got is that basically this is thinking made to order by others. And that, that's an important distinction. Think accurately first. I'm reminded very much of a book by a mentor of mine, Sonia Barrett, and it's called Holographic Games. Basically, she's talking about the same thing as the social heredity, and she calls it consensus reality. And so what she's issuing is a challenge to return to what she calls sovereignty, which is basically the same thing I think that Hill is talking about with accurate thinking. And it's totally thinking that's in line with the Creator, as you said. So basically, we're involved in co-creating the type of thinking that we do. So that's how I see it.
Yes. You know what, Phil? That's a good point because in recovery, I know I always talk about recovery because that's kind of my area, but when someone comes in like from active addiction, real early, addiction has nothing to do with drugs, or alcohol. It's really just about a thinking disease. It's really how we're thinking. But we'll say a lot. Me and my sponsor, I have the best sponsor. She's a therapist, a psychic, and she has 26 years in recovery, so I have like the triple threat. But so she calls me on like all my stuff. But so anyway, so we'll say like, so who do I have thinking me? So when someone comes in new, like off the streets, the thing that's thinking them is you can call it whatever. In recovery, we call it the addict mind, but maybe out here we would call it, I don't know, the ego, perhaps, something like that. Although the ego is not always bad, it just gets a bad rap, except for when the stuff we read here. Just that monkey mind, that human mind, that's what we have thinking us before we acquire accurate thinking. And then so there's a journey to accurate thinking, and it's it's like a pathway through principles, and that's what we're studying here are the principles. And in recovery, it's the 12 steps that have the principles in them. And when we work these principles that we're doing here, basically, it takes us from that chattering, ridiculous human mind that's always that was thinking us, telling us bad things about ourselves and not giving us good suggestions, to the God mind, So it's basically creating the awareness and the space between the two minds, like from the human mind, being able to leave that, have space, and then be back in the the universal mind, which is where the peace of mind comes, and that's when we're thinking with our God mind, or being able to follow God's will. It's basically, I think, I always say, like, it comes from up wherever it is, the ether into that mind, and that mind thinks us rather than this mind. And I don't know why I always do, like, the human mind is up here and the God mind in the back. That's just how I see it. I have no idea if that's really how it is. So don't pay any attention to what I'm doing. So anyways, all right, who's next? Who's ready? Unmute your microphone. All right, Hakeem.
Hey there. Hey everybody, welcome this morning. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm very thankful. I appreciate you guys. And Amber, you mentioned that you always talk about recovery. Well, I believe that we're all in recovery from something. And a lot of times that's from our former selves of who we are. I mean, all of us that I know of, we're all in an internet marketing business, or a business where we have to recruit and deal with teams of people and things like that. And, sometimes, I don't know about any of you, but so there's a lot of people who may have jumped from one company to the next, to the next, to the next best opportunity. And, even some of the leaders that I know of, they've admitted, hey, I've done this, and done that, until I finally found the best one. I finally arrived at home. Well, you see, the thing actually is not that they finally found their home, is they finally found themselves. They're recovering from themselves. When you finally, unless the company is really heinous and there's something really, truly wrong with it, you're not you didn't find the right company. You found the right you. You found the best version of yourself. And that's a lot of times we don't realize that it's not the company that we're getting into. It's not anything outside of us that's changing. It's us that's changing, because there's a lot of places, no matter what the compensation plan, no matter what the organizational structure, there are people who are having success, and somehow, some way they're doing it. That's because they found themselves in that particular opportunity, and that's just the way it goes in life in general. And there was something that you read earlier from the when you had the screen share up, that talked about when we make our petitions, where we talk to infinite intelligence, God, the universe, however you want to call it. If you're an accurate thinker, you do not ask infinite intelligence to change the physical. Somebody please mute yourself out there, or because I'm hearing myself feedback. And so, although I like to listen to myself talk, you ever hear somebody say, you ever hear somebody say, well, are you speaking just to hear yourself talk? Well, yes, why not? I mean, unless you're saying some bull crap. But no, I mean, when you petition to the universe, he says, don't ask for the infinite intelligence or God to change the physical circumstances or the natural laws around you to conform to what you want. Instead, ask for more wisdom, ask for accurate thinking, because when you do that, you go from this entitlement mentality of where you're thinking to yourself, oh, I need to have this, I have to have this, and instead, you're just like Jim Rohn says, instead of being like, I wish things would get easier, when you ask for wisdom, instead of asking for, God, please, I'm going to meditate with a crystal in my hand and make a Ferrari or bundles of money fall and rain on my head from the sky. When instead of asking to change the natural laws, when you ask for wisdom, instead you're putting yourself in a place where you say, I wish for me to be better. Instead of asking for things to get easier, saying, I'm going to get better. It's like you go to the gym, for example, I go to the gym sometimes, and when I'm lifting like a 20-pound dumbbell or whatever, and I do that over a couple of weeks or days or whatever, and it starts to feel like it's getting easier, the weight is not actually getting easier. The weight does not get lighter. Gravity has not changed. Nobody's shaved off the weight. What's actually happening is you, the person, you're getting stronger as you go along if you continue your exercise in faith. And so things aren't getting easier. The weight that you're lifting is not getting lighter. You are getting stronger. You are getting better. And so we're always coming forward to the best version of ourselves if we're paying attention. And then Markel had mentioned something earlier that we had discussed once about, when the first thing, that's why we have to ask for wisdom, is because we start in a place of unconscious incompetence, where we don't know that we don't know. And that's the biggest thing, like what we're doing something right now, where as we're talking to each other, we're learning from each other, and we're starting to learn new things. We're becoming more accurate thinkers. And then people who are watching this, they're doing themselves a service, like we're doing a service, by watching this and listening and absorbing and taking notes, because what's happening then is you go from unconscious incompetence, where you don't know that you don't know, to conscious incompetence. You're like, oh crap, I'm just a dumb butt. And then you move forward, and you're like, then you go into conscious competence, where you're constantly aware of, like Markel mentioned, and like you mentioned, Amber, where you have to stop yourself and say, whoa, wait a minute, was I saying that? Let me reframe that. Instead of saying things like, I'm going to try to, you stop yourself before you say, I'm going to try, say, I'm going to do my best, for example. And then after you practice that over and over and over again, it becomes unconscious, to the point where you don't even realize, you don't have to think about it anymore too much. Of course, you go back and forth between conscious competence and unconscious competence, where you're thinking about what is best, and then sometimes you're just on autopilot doing what's best. And that's the point we want to get to. So we're always striving to be the best version of ourselves. That's it, period. And so, anything else to me is just making excuses. We don't need any more excuses. Thanks for letting me share. That's it I've got for now. What do you guys think about that?
I agree.
Awesome. Yeah, very good stuff. Very good stuff. One thing in recovery, I know what, I've learned so much in recovery, though. That's what, I feel like when someone's in recovery and really works that, it gives us a head start on all this stuff for some reason. And so one of the only thing that we pray for is the knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry it out.
That's
we learn not to
prayer.
pray
That's that nice Napoleon Hill. I got it on the wall here. Like, oh Lord, I don't ask for more blessings, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the blessings you gave me at birth, the privilege of controlling and directing my own mind to purposes of my choice. That's what's, I think it's it's not in Think and Grow Rich, it's somewhere. And it's written by Napoleon Hill. I love that one.
Yeah, right? We don't want to pray for specifics, because that's self-will. We're trying to align ourselves with God's will. So whatever it is, just give it to me, let me know about it, and help me carry it out. That's it.
Yep.
So great stuff. And awesome, Hakeem. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Who's ready? Aaron or Daniel?
I'll take it, I guess.
Okay.
I'm just brimming at bubbling over with excitement. My 18-year-old son did graduate high school this week. I've kind of been on the road traveling, hence the cap. But yeah, it's really neat because, like Alvira was saying, you get the impressions from other people onto your clay. And, having my son and going through life, teaching him that, hey, challenges are going to come up and they're going to seem impossible, but it's within you to overcome it. And, kind of coaching him through life to this point where he's going off to college, or actually coming home to go to community college. It's just incredible to see that he's actually now, rather than saying, oh, let me have this, or, praying for things to change, he's actually realized that it's going to take his work, his hard work is going to get him where he wants to go, and his wisdom of nature's law, his wisdom about, he's going to have to work, his wisdom about having control of his emotions and mindset. Just watching my young boy turn into a man and actually start implementing some of these ideas into his life is just incredible, to watch somebody grow, because I have, made a few impressions on them. And, and in fact, watching him use those wisdom, watching him put that work into his life, has really inspired me and really helped me realize how powerful, my influence is on somebody. Just a few words here or a little motivation there can, has helped my son realize that, yeah, life's tough. Life's going to have challenges that you're going to feel like you're not going to be able to overcome. But then when you reach down inside, reach up to the ultimate power, the source, our Father in heaven, and realize that, yeah, you're going to do some work, and you're going to have to implement that wisdom, and you're going to have to take control of your emotions, is just incredible. Watching him walk across the stage and just the excitement of achievement for him, it was overwhelming, to realize that, yeah, just by teaching him a simple mindset things that and watching him apply it as he moves forward in his journey is just incredibly powerful and awesome. I'm so excited. I'm a proud father. He made it.
Well, you should be. You should be, and I think it probably brings you to tears. I don't have kids, but I can imagine it would bring you to tears that you go like, that is what I've helped create. I mean, you should be so filled with joy that you have been able to give stuff that you have experienced and give that to him, and he picks it up. That's the exciting part when they pick it up. I guess that would be just woohoo.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think back to when I was like a early teen, because he's still a teen, and I think we've all went through it at our early teen ages, you know, that where we think we know everything, and I'm not going to listen to nobody, and I'm not going to take advice, and then to watch that progression from that, you know, rebel, which I was back when I was an early teen, and on my journey, to watch him, you know, build those emotional strengths to realize that he has a little bit of control to a lot of control to, you know, basically the ultimate control to tap into the infinite and work within the laws is just, it's an amazing feeling, you know, and it boosts my confidence too to know that, hey, if I can take, you know, my genetic, he looks like me, he's got a lot of the genetic same things like me, and help him overcome these you know, influences, these negative influences, by just being a positive influence and, you know, a little pressure here and there on the clay, and all of a sudden he's 18, well, not all of a sudden, but, you know, all of a sudden he's 18, he's an older teen, he's applying some of these concepts, you know, of understanding and, you know, being in control of your emotions, of realizing that I got to work if I want something, realizing that I'm not praying to God to change things. I'm praying to God to change me. And to watch him go through that transformation is just, wow.
That's awesome. Awesome, Aaron. Congratulations on having a healthy, mentally healthy kid that you can actually help teach. My daughter still goes, la, 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 when I try to tell her anything, but I'm glad that so your stuff has seeped into him, so that's great. Give him a chance. You know, I didn't have a chance. You know, one day I'll tell you guys, but let's move on to Daniel. So we don't want to time. Daniel.
Hey, what's up? So much stuff comes up listening to everybody and going last here. Aaron, that's really cool about your kid there, and my daughter does that too, Amber. That she's
How old are
such a
your
child.
kids? Daniel, how old are your kids?
My daughter, my two daughters are 10 and 7, and my son's 3. So my 10-year-old girl, she's really, really tough. She's really challenges me on a regular basis. So, so yeah, actually.
Don't worry, it gets worse.
Hey, keep the mindset going, you know, Dan. You know, when my boy was a bit younger and had that rebellious attitude, and I was thinking back to when I was a young teen, and I'm sure all of you can think back to when you were a younger teen and rebellious. Just reinforce that emotional control and watch them evolve. It's just amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll hit you guys up, you older heads here on the panel. Ask you guys for some advice. I actually got some really good advice from somebody one time. He told me this is something pretty cool, and some of you guys could probably relate to this. He said, with your two daughters, he said you should actually take them out, like on dates, like father and daughter, and like hold the door open for them. Mm-hmm. And like show them how they should be treated, to where later on, they'll, when they get older, if a guy's acting like a real a-hole, right? They'll be like, what's up with this guy? This isn't the right right way to be treated. You know what I mean? So it's kind of goes back to our talk too here with social heredity and stuff like that. Learning from our parents, and we can pick and choose what we learn from our parents. I remember I told my daughter one time, she was like, the whole neighborhood was like mad at her and stuff like that because she was she wasn't being cool. I mean, she was just because she has a really strong personality and a tough. She can have an attitude sometimes, and I told her, I said, I heard this from Zig Ziglar. I shared it with her. I said, if you set out, to be a good friend, everybody will want to be your friend. But if you go out looking for friends, the friends will be fierce. I heard Zig Ziglar say that one time. So, that's something that she learned from me, and she always sets out to just be a good friend, and then more people want to be her friend because she's just being a good friend, right? So it's amazing the different things we learn from our parents. I learned so much stuff from my parents, and we can pick and choose, the qualities, that we want to carry on, and and outdo our parents. I hope my kids outdo me. I didn't really mean to talk about all this kid stuff and parent stuff and family life and everything, but I love it. It's great stuff. The thing that actually stood out to me most when we were reading all this stuff was the accurate thinkers. I'm like, what does it take to how do you become an accurate thinker, right? How do you become an accurate thinker? And Mark Hell was saying some stuff that stood out to me on that topic, and it goes back to like auto suggestion. You know what I mean? Because if you're constantly feeding your mind the good stuff, and you're surrounded by the right people, you're going to have that. It's going to be by auto suggestion. You're going to be automatically thinking in a better way. It also reminds me that successful people do things in a certain way, and I think that kind of applies to accurate thinking. Sometimes people think two people are doing the same exact thing, but when you really get to know them or really get to talking with them, you find out that they're actually doing things differently, and they may believe that they are. And you can model someone that's successful, for a while, and you can start to think more accurately, and you can start to do things in the way that person does them over time. But it takes time, and there's a lot of small tweaks that come along the way. And when it comes to accurate thinking too, who we surround ourselves with, makes a world of difference. And I have people that are on my team that I'll talk to, and they'll even correct me. You know what I mean? Like, hey, maybe you shouldn't say it like that, Dan. That's not good to say it like that. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right, man. You're right. I'm glad I got you. What would I do without you? You know what I mean? And they're like, hey, what would I do without you? You're my sponsor, man. You know what I mean? So we we bounce back off of each other, and to be an accurate thinker, it's all a matter of the people that you surround yourself with and the books you read. You know what I mean? Because that's what's going in. Good stuff in, good stuff out. You know what I mean? Same thing with garbage in, garbage out. It's the same deal. So all right, guys. I guess I'll stop it there. I gotta get a drink of water. You guys can probably hear it, right? So
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dan. Cool. So listen, we still have 20 minutes till we hit an hour because we did start late. Is everybody okay going? Okay, cool.
Sure.
So let's go back to screen share and knock some more of this really awesome information out. But great stuff, really great stuff. Oh my God, this is so great. All right, so be extremely careful of following free advice. Now that's interesting for us, isn't it? All right, accurate thinking is a priceless asset that cannot be purchased with money nor borrowed from others. It must be self-attained through the strictest habits of self-discipline. Sorry, I have kids in the background. A little bit. The danger of accepting as fact the opinions of others when gained from social heredity was dramatically set forth, by Alexander Pope in the following poem. Vice is a monster of so frightful a mien that to be hated needs but to be seen. Yet seen too oft, familiar with her face, we first endure, then pity, then embrace. Okay. This is true of many opinions that we embrace. At first, we may not accept an opinion as being sound, but close association with it gradually influences us to endure it, then to embrace it as our own, often forgetting the source from which it came. The mind absorbs any idea to which it is repeatedly subjected, whether the idea is sound or unsound, right or wrong. Experienced criminologists tell us that nearly all youth who find themselves in trouble with the law do so because of close association with other youths or adults who set the examples they follow. This trait of the mind, however, can be beneficial when it belongs to the accurate thinker. For that which you think today becomes that which you are tomorrow. An accurate thinker may develop a definite major purpose or goals by observing what has been thought and done by others. Thus, social heredity, the habit of doing things because they have been done that way before, often stands in the way of sound thinking in almost every occupation. Another common weakness in the habits of thought of most people consists of a tendency to disbelieve anything that they do not understand. When the Wright brothers announced that they had built a machine that could fly in the air, no one believed them. Newspaper reporters were invited to Kitty Hawk experimental grounds to see for themselves, but they were so skeptical that they refused the invitation. While many inventors had tried to create a flying machine, they had all failed. No one believed they could actually work, except the two men who had created the machine and had successfully flown it. Contempt prior to examination is the major weakness of most thinking. When Guillermo Marconi announced that he could send a message through the air without the use of wires, some of his own relatives became so alarmed that they had him sent to a psychiatrist for examination. They believed he had suddenly lost his sense of reason. No one had sent a message in that manner before. Hold on, let me just quiet these kids. Close your door. Okay, sorry guys. I have 3 13-year-olds putting makeup on in the other room. For some reason, at 11 o'clock on a Saturday, I have no idea. Okay, let's see, blah, 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 blah. Most people, I think I skipped the sentence, that's okay. Most people must have precedents by which to pattern their thinking habits. It seldom occurs to them to examine the facts that are available and get first-hand information. Those who have done so, such as Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, George Washington, Carver, Jonas Salk, and Marie Curie, are the great exceptions who have been the advance guard of process. All right, the basis of controlled habits. Accurate thinking is the basis of controlled habits. Something very interesting happens when you combine two important principles, habits and social heredity. The universal law which forces upon all living creatures the dominating influences of environment in which they live cannot be modified, changed, or circumvented. It is called social heredity. It can be used to great advantage by combining it with the principle of controlled habit. Remember that all voluntary habits can be controlled. One of the greatest of all miracles is the power of creative thought, through which we may translate the impulses of thought into our physical, financial, or spiritual equivalents. This represents the source of the real power behind all achievement. It is also the power that is responsible for such misery. It brings success or failure according to the way it is applied. To explain this concept, we'll use a familiar comparison. Assume that we are taking a physical picture of the power of thought, using the mind as the film in a camera. Controlled habit is compared to the lens through which any desired object may be photographed. The camera film will register any object reflected upon it by light projected through the lens. It does not pick the subject, but accepts everything to which it is exposed. To make a clear picture, the lens must be properly focused, and the object to be photographed must have the proper amount of light. All this depends upon the skill and accuracy of the one who is operating the camera. Thus, the photographer works as through controlled habit, but the result depends upon the light and the chemicals in which the film has been sensitized. The photographer times the exposure to give the proper amount of light and adjusts the focus of the lens so it will pick up and register the details of the object being photographed. The quality of the picture will be in exact proportion to the skills in controlling all of these factors. Now, shift the scene from the camera to the brain so that we may observe how perfectly the two resemble each other in the manner of their operation. We choose the subject we wish to register in the cells of the brain serving as the camera film. We call the subject a definite major purpose. We want the brain to pick up a clear picture of that purpose in all of its details, to register it and convey it to the subconscious section of the brain for translation into its physical equivalent by whatever natural means may be available. We proceed through the principle of controlled habit to place in our conscious mind a clear picture of that which we desire. Day after day, we repeat that picture through controlled habit. We have discovered, because we are accurate thinkers, that the mental impulse of thought through which we are painting the picture in the brain must be given the right amount of time through repeated exposures to properly register properly. It must also be accompanied by the proper proportion of light, emotional feeling mixed with reason, to enable the brain to pick up a clear outline and all the details of the thought. Oh, this is important stuff. In this process of conveying to the brain a clear picture of what you desire to have translated into its physical equivalent, I guess which would be manifestation, you must take 4 important steps, all of which are easily followed and subject to individual control in every manner. They are the adoption of definite major purpose, 2, the creation of a practical plan for the attainment of that purpose, 3, a mastermind alliance with others whose experience, skill, or influence may be needed. Sorry about the noise in the background. According to the nature of the purpose. And 4, immediate and conscious, continuous action to live out your definite major purpose. Okay, so we have to adopt a definite major purpose, create the plan for the attainment of the purpose, form a mastermind alliance, and put into action our plan, okay? So observe that all 4 steps are well within control of the average person, but nothing will result unless all 4 steps are taken and persistently carried out to their logical conclusion. This requires controlled habits. It calls for constant application of the habits until the object has been attained. Here then we may observe the effect of controlled habits in the relation. All right, hold on. I'm just going to stop right there for now because I know we're moving into time, and I think we should discuss this because it seemed really, really, really important. So just mark our spot here. Okay. You guys okay with stopping there for now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty important stuff.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. I know we started late, and I don't want to make everybody go too long. Okay, but. So this was so important because it's really what we're all doing. This is like the key. That's why I wanted to stop there. You know, is I like how they use the camera and the film. Is basically that's exactly what it is. I mean, like in manifesting our desires, our definite major purpose. You know, we're all marketers here, so we're all working. You know, we have what we want, the picture of it in our minds. And we're imprinting it on our brains so that we can manifest it, you know, in our outward world. And then the plan, for me, of course, is, you know, the company that I'm marketing, of course. That's probably the plan. And the hardest part for me, though, is to take the picture that I have in my mind and put it into words. That's always been my biggest challenge. And I know they didn't put that in there. I would almost think that we should add a 5th, you know, which would be writing it down. But maybe that's what adopting the definite major purpose is. You know, maybe you know, because we do write it. I mean, he's very clear that we write that definite major purpose. But getting the image from my mind into words is the biggest challenge for me because I think I see in images, you know, and then transferring that down into like a sentence or words is so challenging for me. So let's wrap this whole thing up with definite major purpose, guys. So I'm just going to go down the road. Let's hit Aaron real quick.
All right, yeah, you know those 4 steps, it's kind of interesting. I registered a few domains really relate to that. For the vision, dream. You know, you got to have your dream. You got to have your vision, your definite major purpose. You crystallize that vision. You know, you put together a plan. You know, like you're saying, you put into words that idea. You put into a process or a Gantt chart or a task list. You know, that would be your plan. You know, your mastermind group or your team. So you got to have a team of people, your mastermind group, to do specific tasks, certain skill sets, and to bounce back and forth ideas, to develop ideas into, you know, that plan. And then your life. You know, you got to live your life based on these habits, based on these principles, based on these ideas, your plans, based on, you know, team activities. You know, so you know, those 4 steps, you know, dream, plan, team, life. You know, and that kind of, for me, wraps it up with 4 simple words. So yeah, that's what I got to add today for that part. Thanks.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, Phil. I'm gonna wrap it up first.
Okay, sure. The creative thought, which is a definite major purpose, basically is a way of breaking away from the hereditary thought that we've been embraced. I think it's important, though. I'm going to take a little different spin on this. As we get further away from the hereditary influences, in particular, say, parents and the influence they've had on us, because I've had to work this through, we should be grateful for our parents, and even grateful, perhaps, for the thoughts that have existed and the influences on our lives as we get past them. Just kind of as an acknowledgement of this is where I've been, and I'm thankful for that, and I understand it, but I'm getting beyond it and evolving. So that's how I see it.
Great. Yeah, that's a whole nother aspect of it. For sure. I'm laughing because I'm looking at my hair blowing with the air conditioning. So self-centered. All right. Who's next? Who wants to go? Unmute your microphone. Whoever wants to go.
I feel the force is strong within you. No, just that's spot on. I love hearing Napoleon Hill's wisdom, and I believe that those principles, of course, we're practicing them right here. We have decided what it is our major definite purpose is for each individual one of us, and we've made a plan. And I think that what you mentioned about writing down, I think that's part of the plan. Is when you make a plan, you write it down. That that could be part of that step, and then get into a mastermind. This is part of a mastermind because we're on that particular thought level where we want to become more accurate thinkers. But then we also have our other masterminds of the particular groups or organizations that we're with, and then of course taking action. We just got to keep on going and taking action and doing it, and so to speak, putting our money where our mouth is, or acting ourselves into new ways of thinking rather than trying to keep thinking ourselves into new ways of acting.
Oh wow, good comment. Good analogy there.
God, this guy just spits out in one sentence what takes me really 10 minutes to reflect upon. You're amazing, Hakeem. You're amazing. I love you. You're amazing.
The force is with me.
The force is with him.
Definitely is.
The force is strong within all of us.
Well, here's the thing. He allows the voice of the universe to come through him. That's what it is. I mean, the way I look at it is we are just, we're flesh extensions of source energy. I mean, I just love to be used by source energy. That's all I aspire to be. A vessel for the voice of the universe. That's my... shall I just continue on? Because I just have a few little things. Reading what you read was just so good again. I just love it. I'm so grateful for being here together. It's just such an honor to be on this panel. I mean, I love it, Amber. So, and I love all of you, just contributing all your great stuff. I believe what I was writing down is that, the hardest part of all of this, the discipline, the hardest part is that we are, as a human, and more now in this fast digital world, we're so impatient. And society pushes it on us that, instant, and then we have this entitlement, like, where the hell is it? Come on, where is it? That is what I think is our major challenge, because I don't know if you've ever been sanding a bar of wood or anything. Sanding takes time. Sanding that clump of clay with all of those dents in there takes time. Personal development is not something that happens overnight. It takes time, and it takes consistent doing, because your sanding piece of paper gets hot. So you put it aside again, and that means you got to work through what you've just, I'm going to be chewing on what we've discussed here all day long. So that's putting a little piece of sandpaper down because it's hot and your hands get hot. So then you pick it up again, you sand again, so you learn something new. That's how I like to see it. And indeed, Amber, writing down what your desires is, converting it from your vibration, because that's what it is, your desire, your thoughts, your desire is a vibration, onto paper is the hardest thing there is. But you know what? That's one thing that I'm so happy that I heard him say that of one of my mentors, which is yours as well, David Wood, who said, it took me 8 years to form it in my mind and to put it on paper what my definite major purpose was. And I go like, yoo-hoo, because he makes a couple of bucks a month. So I go like, yep, there is hope for me. That's it, Amber.
Oh, thanks, Amber. I don't feel so bad now. That's good. If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. Cool. All right, Markel.
Okay, the thing that I love the most about what you just read recently was when he said that the mind absorbs any idea to which is repeatedly subjected, whether sound or unsound, right or wrong. And that is like the hugest thing that you can grasp if you really understand that and you apply that, because that means like we don't have information, we are information. And I was just sitting over here thinking of the word information, like in, that's something that's inside of you, within, form, something that takes shape, right? And action, that's a verb, that's action, and that's something that you do as a movement. So we are information, and it's like you can literally sit down and come up with a major definite purpose, no matter what it is or what it might sound like, and you can just repeat that every day, all day, and become that. Because it's not something that you are, it's not something that you have, it's something that you are. We are information, and we are delivering our information, which means that we are delivering ourselves, and people are sitting here listening to us, and they get in this information only if they apply it. Only when they apply it and actually use it is when it becomes information. Otherwise, it's just knowledge or something that you're conscious of. But if you're not doing it, then it's just something that you know, right? That's why it's called knowledge, something that you know. That's the root word of knowledge, know. So you have to put it in form and make it take action. And another thing was that accurate thinking is the basis of controlled habits. And all voluntary habits can be controlled. So you have to be willing to take that self-discipline and control these habits and become who you want to be. It's like, it's easy to me now, but at first it was hard, because all you have to do is just apply it. But that's the hardest part of it, because it's not just enough to know it. So you have to actually apply it. And then the more you apply it, the easier it becomes, because everything is hard before it gets easy. And that's what I got. Thank you, Amber.
Yeah, good stuff. You know what it was reminding me of when you were talking? I can't remember who put it on Facebook yesterday, but it was talking about, if you put water, was it one of you guys? You pour water into a bottle, the water becomes the bottle. If you pour water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. It was all these different shapes. And
that's from Bruce Lee. That's awesome.
Oh, that's what it was. It was Justin. Justin, of course, put that up. So he, right? And what does it say at the end though? Become the water, right? Or something like that. What does it say, Hakeem?
Be water, my friend. Be water. Bruce Lee.
That's what it was. Be water. But it reminds me of like whatever information comes to us, can fill us up and become us. So, but in a different take on that quote, what we allow into us, what information comes into us, we can't always accept it as truth, because it's going to become us, whether it's good for us or bad for us. So we have to accurately decipher it first, before we allow it to fill us, and before, because we don't want to become that misinformation or something that doesn't resonate with our truth, and our beliefs, because it said the mind absorbs it, whether it's good for us or bad for us, so we have to be very careful about what we allow in. Anyways, all right, Daniel, I'm back with the red shirt. All right.
I'm still muted. Yeah, I'm a little bit cold down here. It's like I'm in my basement. So I put the shirt back on. But yeah, I was just gonna close this out with gratitude, but I had one saying that I just thought was pretty cool because we were talking because the things you guys were talking about was like related to the subconscious mind and the subconscious mind not knowing the difference between right or wrong or 1 penny or $1 million, So I make sure that I make sure that I do my major definite purpose every day. I say my major definite purpose and my self-confidence formula and stuff like that. And the reason why I do that is because I'm programming my mind because I need it. You know what I mean? It's funny. I practice what I preach. I tell people to do this stuff, and I'm doing it too because I need it too. I know that I'm not, that I need this stuff. You know what I mean? So. And this little saying just came up. I'm posting on my Facebook right now because I think it's a good saying. I think it's powerful. Is that I just wrote this down. It says success becomes easy when it becomes habit. Get disciplined and create good habits. So that's like my little quote. I'm putting on Facebook right now because I just think it's powerful. But all right, guys, I appreciate you guys. I'm very grateful to be here with everybody. Love you guys. You guys are all awesome. I've really grown to like and love you guys. Here in just a short few weeks we've been doing this, so really cool. Thanks. I'll close it out there.
Takes one to know one, Daniel.
Yes.
Right.
Thanks.
That's right. I love all you guys too, and it's great how we've become we have become a mastermind alliance, and kind of a little family here. I feel so blessed that we all found each other, and I'm glad that we have some people watching, and we want to invite you guys to watch us every week. You're kind of being a fly on the wall to the insights of some masterminding going on, and I know that you guys are going to get a lot of value, and this is going to help everybody that's watching this in their business life, whether you're an internet marketer or you're starting something offline, or maybe you want to, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter what you want to do to be successful. You need to have a positive mental attitude, and these steps that we're taking and practicing these principles are what leads us to the positive mental attitude in our lives. So come back here every week. We're here every Saturday morning at 10:30 Eastern Time. We share the link, we share the YouTube link usually on Facebook. We have our Think and Grow Rich Mindset Ministry Mastermind Facebook page. All of us have our own Facebook pages. This is also showing on Google+. And if you ever want to post comments or ask questions, we do open up the Q&A. I probably should have said that at the beginning. But anyways, we're glad everybody's watching us, and we love sharing this information. We love each other. We're just a big love fest here. And so we'll see you guys next weekend. So bye for now, everybody.
Thank you so much, everybody. Love you.
Love you
Take care.
guys.
Be well, guys.